Here we have a parabola, and what we're going to do is we are going to come up with the equation of this parabola, but we're going to go ahead and write it in three different ways. So let's go ahead and start off here, and let's start off with factored form. And if we want to write an equation in factored form, then we're going to be using the zeros. And so the zeros, or x-intercepts, can be found right here and right here. So the zeros, or x-intercepts, sometimes they're called roots also, lots of different names, are where the parabola crosses the x-axis. So it looks like this particular parabola crosses at 2 and 4. So that means it has coordinate points, or zeros, of 2, and that point is 2, 0, and 4, so that point is 4, 0. And so if I'm going to write the equation here, we can just start with an f of x. And factored form is essentially going to be double parentheses, where each parenthesis starts off with an x. And then I'm basically going to write the opposite sign of my zeros. So if one of my zeros is 2, a positive 2 for x, then it's going to be x minus 2. And kind of the reason for that is because when I plug in a positive 2 in for this x over here, that positive 2 minus 2 would be 0. And that's why I get out 0 when I plug in 2. And so same thing for this next parenthesis here. So if I have a 0 of 4, 0, that x value is a positive 4, then I'm going to go x minus 4. And then again, the reason is, let's see if I can fix up that 4, make it look a little bit nicer. Okay, the reason is because when I take this 4 and I plug it in for that x, then 4 minus 4 is 0. And so I get that coordinate point of 4, 0. Okay, and then that's done. That's my factored form. All right, so that's nice. Now, next, let's go ahead and check out vertex form. So vertex form, I'm going to use, you guessed it, the vertex. So let's go ahead and check out, well, what is the vertex here? Well, here my vertex is 1, 2, 3, and then negative 1. So my vertex is 3, negative 1. 3, negative 1. Okay, the skeleton, I like to call it, for vertex form is going to look something kind of like this. So we're going to have a parenthesis squared. That's going to start off with an x. And remember, our number after x is always counterintuitive with the vertex form. So if I have a positive 3, then it's actually going to be an x minus 3. And then the y value is just on the outside, and that's just intuitive. So that's just going to be a minus 1. Okay, the only other thing that we need to check out here is, do I have an a value, the number kind of in front? Do I have an a value of 1, and can I keep it invisible, an invisible 1 there? Can I keep it as is, or do I need to change it? And so I'm kind of thinking, is this parabola moving as a standard x squared? So when I move to the right 1, am I going up 1 because 1 squared is 1? When I move to the right 2, am I going up 4 because 2 squared is 4? Or is it something different? And let's go ahead and check it out here. So I'm going to start from the vertex. And when I go to the right 1, I'm going up 1. So right 1, x value of 1, 1 squared is 1, y value of 1. That looks good. That looks kind of standard like x squared. And let's do another double check here. So if I go to the right 2, I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, 2 squared is 4, so it looks like there really isn't anything different going on other than the standard x squared. So it's really going to be an invisible 1, so you could either write a 1 or just delete it to make it simple. Okay, and then we want standard form. So standard form, if we just kind of write it out here, it's going to look, you know, something like, maybe like something x squared plus like something x, and then plus some number out here, okay? So that's kind of the general form. Now this is hard to come up with. We actually don't really have a method for coming up with standard form directly. However, what we do have is we already have our factored form that's done. We already have our vertex form, that's done. And guess what? These two things are actually the same. So they both represent this same parabola here. So both of those, if we graphed them, and you could check it, you could go to Desmos or something and graph them, and you'll see that we'll get that same parabola. So now, how can we get standard form here? Well, what if we take either of these, and we could just do it with both, just to double check, and let's see if we can change them to make them look like standard form. So if I were to take this guy here, and let me make my pen smaller so I don't run out of room. Okay, so let's take this guy here, and let's go, x minus 2, and then x minus 4. And then let's go ahead and FOIL, or I kind of like to do double distributing. So I'm going to take that x and distribute it out here. So what do we get? That's going to be an x squared and then minus 4x. Okay, let's do the same thing over here. So let's take that negative 2 there. Okay, distribute this dude. All right, so now I've got a negative 2x and then a positive 8. All right, so now I can put those guys together, and that's going to get me an x squared minus 6x plus 8. Well, wait, doesn't that look like that standard form? Yeah, it does. So then I guess now I have my standard form. So that's going to be x squared minus 6x plus 8. Let's just go ahead and double check, or maybe just see if I could have used vertex form to do the same thing as well. So let's just take this vertex form. Okay, well, I'm going to go x minus 3 squared minus 1. Well, wait a second. X minus 3 squared. Squared just means repeated. So let's just go ahead and repeat that. Okay, and then I'm going to do my double distributing. So let's take this x, distribute it right there. So we've got x times negative 3. We're looking good. Take that negative 3 and do the same. All right, so now I'm at a negative 3x there and a plus 9. Don't forget, I still had this negative 1, that minus 1 hanging out, right? So we can't drop it. We got to keep that coming on down. All right, so now I've got my x squared. Let's check out negative 3x, put those things together. Those are like terms. And then check it out. So a plus 9 and a minus 1, well, that's going to get a plus 8. That almost sounds familiar. Like that's the same thing I got when I did it from factored form. Okay, cool. So I could do it either way, I guess, right? All right, and so here we go. We have 1. Let me just kind of point this out here. So we have 1, 2, 3 different ways to graph this same exact parabola. And if you went to Desmos.com, if you don't know about Desmos yet, you know about it now. It's awesome. You can graph stuff and it helps a lot. Go to Desmos, put all 3 of those equations and see if you get the exact same thing. And then just note that these are 3 different forms of the exact same equation.